This video covers Review 1 over solving equations. So when you are solving an equation, remember we use Don't Call Me After Midnight. For this, I apologize. We don't have any distributing. We don't need to combine like terms. My variable here is only on one side, so I don't really need to move anything. I do need to add or subtract. So I need to subtract 7 from both sides because I have a positive 7. So I move it to the other side by adding or subtracting. I bring down the 8 in. And then 31 minus 7 is 24. So I have done my A duty. And then from here, I will multiply or divide. In this case, it is being multiplied, so I need to divide. And n equals 3. A simple check would be to plug in 8 times 3 plus 7 into the calculator and make sure it equals 31. So for the next problem, again, using Don't Call Me After Midnight, I don't need to distribute. I don't need to combine like terms. I don't need to move my variable to one side or the other because it's already on one side by itself. I do need to add or subtract. So I have a minus 13 to move a minus. I add it. So I will add 13 to both sides. On the left side, my 13's cancel. And on the right side, I need to do negative 103 plus 13. And I get a negative 90. And the minus 9x just stays on the left side. So I've done my adding or subtracting, and then I will divide both sides by a negative 9. I'm dividing because there's no symbol in between negative 9 and x, so in order to get rid of the multiplication, I need to divide. And negative 90 divided by negative 9 is a positive 10. To check, I could type negative 9 times 10 minus 13 into my calculator and make sure I get a negative 103. Problem 3, Don't Call Me After Midnight. I don't need to distribute because there are no parentheses. I don't need to combine like terms because I only have one term and it's right here. I don't need to move terms to one side or the other because, again, that one term is right there. I do need to add or subtract, so I will add 7 to both sides. Again, I'm adding 7 because I have a minus 7 outside of my box. So n over 4 equals a negative 6. Sorry. So I've added. And then I will do my multiply or divide. So for this problem, n is here by itself. It is being divided by 4. So to get rid of divide, we need to multiply. So I multiply the left side by 4 and the right side by 4. On the left side, my 4's cancel. On the right side, negative 6 times 4 is negative 24. And I've taken care of my multiply or divide. Problem 4, Don't Call Me After Midnight again. I don't need to distribute because there are no parentheses. I do need to combine like terms because I have r's and r's on both sides. Remember, some of you like to box, or your teachers have taught you to box your terms. And here we see 2 boxes, so we do need to combine. 1 Invisible Ninja 1R plus 8 R's is 9 R's total. The positive 11 stays and the 29 stays. I do not need to move my variable to one side because it's already on one side. I do need to add or subtract from both sides. So with the positive 11, I subtract 11 from both sides. 29 minus 11 is 18. To finish, I have 9 times r, so multiply or divide. In this case, I need to divide because it's already being multiplied. And r equals 2. Problem 5. I don't need to distribute because there are no parentheses. I don't need to combine because I don't have terms on the same side of the equal sign. But I do need to move because I have k's on one side and on the other side. Remember, by sides, we mean on other sides of the equal sign. So I'm going to move that negative 5k by making it a positive 5k and moving it to the other side. So I'm canceling it from this side and I'm pushing it to the other side. So 32k plus 5k is a total of 37k. And I have moved my term to the other side. From here, I have 37k by itself. So I will add 32 to both sides because I have my k by itself and I need to add or subtract. So 37k, negative 32 plus 32 is 0. Final step is multiply or divide. So I'm going to divide. And 0 divided by 37 is just 0. Problem 6 looks kind of similar. We don't have any distributing because there are no parentheses. We do not need to combine like terms because there are no boxes on the same side of the equal sign. I do need to move terms to one side or the other. So I'm going to move 5x because it's smaller. I move a positive by making it a negative. So 7x minus 5x is 2x. Bring all other pieces down. From here, I have 2x. I need to add or subtract based on don't call me after midnight. For this step, I have a positive 2 that I need to get rid of, so I subtract 2 from both sides. 8 minus 2 is 6. My last step is multiply or divide. In this case, I need to divide because 2 and x are being multiplied. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Problem 7 of Don't Call Me After Midnight. I finally need to distribute because I have parentheses. So 4 times 2w, 4 times negative 5. Bring everything else down and keep it the same. So 4 times 2w here gives me 8w. And 4 times negative 5 here is negative 20. You don't have to draw the squigglies. I just can't show you on my iPad very well where I'm working, and I want to make sure you see what I'm doing. So I don't need to combine any like terms. I have w's on this side and w's on the other side, so I will need to move them to one side or the other. I will move the 5w because it's smaller. Again, you can move whichever variable you want. I just move the smaller one. I'm still trying to get w by itself, so I will need to add or subtract. In this case, I have a negative 20, so I need to add 20 to both sides. So 3w equals 24. And my last step is to multiply or divide. I need to divide because 3 and w are attached through multiplication. and W would equal 8 because 24 divided by 3 is 8. Problem 8, don't call me after midnight. We need to distribute. Remember, there's an invisible -1 that will be distributed. So negative times P, negative times 3, and everything else stays the same. I do need to combine because I have two sets of numbers on the same side of the equal sign. So negative P will stay the same, 17 will stay the same, and 19 minus 3 is 16. I don't need to move my variable to one side because it's already on one side by itself, but I do need to add or subtract. So I have a positive 16. In order to move it, I will subtract 16 from both sides. Negative P stays the same. 17 minus 16 is 1. And then I do need to multiply or divide because I want P by itself, not negative P. So if negative P is positive 1, then positive P is negative 1. Or you can also divide by -1, and a positive divided by a negative is a negative. This is now page 2, where problems get a little more complicated. So make sure you're really using Don't Call Me After Midnight. You can also write it off to the side if you're worried it's going to be a long problem. Excuse me. So for problem 9, sorry, we do need to distribute because we have two sets of parentheses, so we will need to do that. 3 times m is 3m. 3 times -2 is -6. And in black, the -5 stays the same and the 8 stays the same. 2 times m is 2m. 2 times -4 is -8. I do need to combine like terms because I have numbers here that could be combined and numbers here that could be combined. So 3m stays the same. -6 times -5 is -11. On the right side, 2m stays the same. 8 minus 8 is 0, so I don't need to move that or rewrite 0. I do need to move my variables to the same side, so I'm going to go ahead and move 3m. Even though it's bigger, if I move 2m, then I have to use a 0 as a placeholder, and we don't always remember to do that. So 2 minus 3 is -1. I don't need to add or subtract because I don't have anything else on the same side as m, but I will need to multiply or divide, so I will divide both sides by that -1 in front of m, and m is going to equal a positive 11 because negative divided by negative is positive. Okay, so problem 10, I need to distribute. Both of these are distributing a -3, so I need to make sure I'm really careful. So the 12 will stay the same out front, and the 7w over here will stay the same. Everything else will get multiplied by -3. So -3 times 2w is -6w. -3 times 1 is -3. On the right side, -3 times 7 is -21. -3 times w is -3w. I do need to combine like terms. On the right side, I have numbers. On the right side, I have letters. On the left side, I have numbers. Remember, we're combining things on the same side of the equal sign. So the left side, -6w stays the same, but 12 minus 3 is, +9. And on the left side, I have w's that can be combined. 7w minus 3w is 4w, and the -21 will stay. I do need to move my variables to the same side. So because 6w is a negative. I'm going to go ahead and move it. Remember, I move by doing the opposite sign. So 9 stays the same. 4W's plus 6W's is 10W. Minus 21 stays the same. I need to add or subtract from the 10W, so I have a minus 21. I will add to move it to the other side. So 10W equals 30. And my final step is to divide by 10 because I need to multiply or divide. 30 divided by 10 is 3. Problem 11. I need to distribute because I have a negative 7. That can be distributed. 6 will stay the same. And the entire right side will stay the same for this first step. So negative 7 times a is negative 7a. Negative 7 times 1 is negative 7. From here, I do have like terms that I can combine. On the left side, I have numbers. On the right side, I have terms or letters. So left side, 6 minus 7 is a negative 1. On the right side, negative 2a and 5a is a total of 3a, and a minus 6 stays the same. I need to move my terms to the same side because right now I have a's over here and a's over here. So I'm going to add 7a's because the 7a is smaller. So 3a's and 7a's is 10a's. The minus 6 stays the same. I need to add or subtract, so in this case I will add 6 to both sides. So 5 equals 10a. And my final step is to multiply or divide. In this case, I will divide. So 5 divided by 10 is 1/2, or 0.5 as a decimal. Problem 12. I need to distribute 1/2 times 18x and 1/2 times negative 36. So 1/2 times 18, or half of 18, is 9x. Half of 36 is 18. And everything else will stay the same. I don't need to combine like terms because I don't have terms that are the same on both sides of the equal sign, but I do need to move them because they are on opposite sides. So I'm going to move the 6x to the other side by subtraction because it's already positive. 9x's minus 6x's is 3x's. The minus 18 and the minus 12 stay the same because I have not changed them. I need to add or subtract, so I have a 3x and a minus 18. I move the minus 18 by adding it to both sides. So 3x equals 6. And then for my final step, I need to multiply or divide. In this case, I will divide both sides by 3. So x equals 2 because 6 divided by 3 is 2. Problem 3, 13. Don't call me after midnight. We are asked to solve for a. So when I solve for a, I don't have any parentheses that I need to use, so I don't need to distribute. I don't have letters that are repeated, so I don't need to combine. I don't have a's on both sides of the equal sign, so I don't need to move. I do have something with that box, so the b needs to move. I will subtract because it's being added. So a equals c minus b. Remember, c and b are not the same term. They're not the same letter, so I can't combine them. And then I don't need to multiply or divide because a is already by itself. So that's a pretty quick problem. Problem 14. We are asked to solve for r right in here. So I don't have any parentheses, I don't need to distribute. I don't have repeated terms, so I don't need to combine. I don't have r's on both sides, so I don't need to move. I don't have anything added or subtracted, but I do have something multiplied or divided. So t is currently being multiplied to r. I will move it by dividing by t. So d divided by t will give me r by itself. Again, d and t are not like terms, so I cannot do anything else. Problem 15, we're asked to solve for y. So y is right here. I don't have anything to distribute because I don't have any parentheses. I don't need to combine because I don't have any terms or numbers that are the same. I don't need to move because I only have y on one side. I can add or subtract. That 2x can go to the other side, or needs to go to the other side. So 7y on the left side and 15 minus 2x on the right side is what I would end up with. I still don't have y completely by itself, so my last step, let me change colors. My last step is to multiply or divide. So I will divide everything by 7. So y will be 15 over 7 and minus 2 over 7x. You could also write it as 15 minus 2x over 7. And problem 16, we're asked to solve for y. We don't have any distributing. Here's my y, so we don't have anything we can combine, no like letters or numbers. We don't have any reason to move, but we do need to add or subtract. So to get that y by itself, I'm going to move that 3x to the other side. So negative 3y equals 6 minus 3x. Remember, you can rewrite these, but make sure the negative sticks with the 3. And then I need to multiply or divide. In this case, I need to divide because it's being multiplied. So I'm dividing everything by negative 3. So y, 6 divided by negative 3 here is a negative 2. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 cancels, so I'm just left with x. You could also write this as x minus 2 if you so desired. Please make sure you see the next video for the second half.